I tend to collect a lot of items which I think have potential for crafting or recycling, reusing. But this time I decided I'm not going to be a hoarder anymore. I'm going to use it all up or throw them. So I'm going to use these items today. So this is a plastic container whose lid is broken. I'm going to send off the lid to the recycler and use the container. Now I'm going to cut off this threading portion of the container using a zigzag blade, and the lower portion looks nice as a single unit. So using a zigzag blade is pretty easy, though it's a little bit of hard work doing it, but cutting up plastic is not a big deal. Within a minute or two, I was able to cut it neatly out. This leaves some rough edges, so I'm going to heat up my iron and then just rub gently this top portion or the open portion of my container against the hot iron, and this will just smoothen out the edge and will make it look really neat and ready for use. Now here is a mop that is easily available in any store. I had one of these and I realized I never used it in my home and will never use it. I just kept it because the thread is kind of, or the rope is chunky, knit kind of thing, which I can use for macrame. So I've decided to use it up all for my craft. So I'm just going to take it out. They are just woven into this plastic portion. At places it's just stitched roughly with a black thread, which I'm just going to cut and take out as much of the thread that I need. Next, I'm going to take my measuring tape and measure out the amount of rope or macrame thread that I want and cut them out. I measured my container, which is 15 centimeter long and 10 centimeter wide. So accordingly, I need to make a plant hanger this big, and keeping this container size in mind, I'm choosing other things. So one needs a hoop, a circular hoop, which is 5 centimeter wide, but I'm using the semicircular metal ring, which has been rescued from an old bag, and I'm going to use it up. Next, I need a yarn or rope which is 80 centimeter long and 10 strings which are 1.5 meters, that is 150 centimeter long. These are the items that I'll need for today's project. So I fixed my ring here. Now you see I kept the base side down, but later I'll change it. Now I take the string, fold it into half and make a loop. Put the loop through this, bring it out from the down and pull the two strings through the loop and tighten it up. Now this knot is the basic knot required to do a macrame project to fix your rope or string, and this is called lark's head knot. So I'm using all the 10 strings here and fixing it onto my ring. Now it was difficult to place all of them together on the horizontal surface, so I placed all the lark's head knots onto the circular portion and it forms a beautiful ring. I have placed my strings neatly. Now I separate out four strings on one side, and now you see me making a square knot. This is another basic knot, just observe. Now, I really want you to observe the rest of the video as a tutorial for making a macrame plant holder. These are very easy basic knots that I'm using. I'll be naming the knots as we come across them. Just observe the steps because my speaking is going to confuse you. So just observe and it's pretty easy. You can follow the instructions and make it. Believe me, this is my first time making this plant anchor too. When I film a video, when I make a tutorial for you, in fact, I'm teaching myself one thing. The best way of learning is teaching somebody else. So I'm learning it, I learned it, and I'm showing it to you so you can do it very easily. I believe there are many of you out there who know it already and will forgive little mistakes that I happen to do. Now, since I've come to the right end of my pattern, I bring everything down neatly, arrange the cords, and now I want to give it a finishing line, and therefore I'm going to use clove hitch knot here. It's not that difficult, just observe. At this point, I have a beautiful pattern here. Now, for the next knots, if you're using a small planter, you can put the next square knot at an interval of 2 inches. But if you have a bigger planter, I would suggest keep an interval of 2.5 to 3 inches before starting the next set of knots. Here, it's going to be square knots again. Because my planter is going to hang against the wall, flat against the wall, and it's going to hold the planter beautifully in front with a beautiful design in front. So be careful how you bring the strings in front. Keep that in mind. And there should be sufficient space to slide in your planter through it and take it out whenever you need it. So that has to be kept in mind before you start the knots which will hold the planter in place. Since a long time, I felt I was doing projects that I was just doing for the sake of doing and did not make much sense to my home or my way of living. I want to do more intentional crafts and I hope you will enjoy them. And I'm saying this to my really dear friends who have supported me since a very long time. You will understand really well what I'm trying to say. I'm going to do things that will make sense to my home and use up all the craft supplies that I've been hoarding since years with me. I really want to use them or throw them. I'm not going to carry clutter with me anymore. Be very careful when you gather these strings. They should be neatly combed or parallel to each other so that it forms a neat collection, and then tie it up with a string. Now here the kind of knot that is used, I don't have to use any glue or anything, just observe. This is the knot that you use for tying things, gathering the cords so as to get a beautiful tassel in the end, and this is known as gathering knot. It has a beautiful way of doing it so that you don't have to knot anything in the end, yet you cannot find the beginning or the end of the thread. It's just so awesome. So once all this is done, take an old comb and just brush it out so that you can unwind the rope or the threads, and it can become a bushy tassel, and then trim it from the end using fine scissors. And your macrame planter is ready. It looks so beautiful and so boho. It was raining heavily, so I added an artificial plant, but I plan to plant a beautiful pothos in this and use it in my home. I really enjoyed making it. And in the following portion of the video, I'm going to show another project that I'm working on. Boho modern, very aesthetic and a functional decor that I'm going to cherish in my home, honestly. There are so many other things that I do which I don't always film or share with you. I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek of what other project I'm doing at hand, which I'm not sharing. So I had a crochet drawstring pull bag with me, which was made by my aunt. She is no more, and the bag itself has become very old, and I cannot carry it outside. So I'm not going to keep it just for the emotional sakes anymore. But before I discard it, I wanted to make a bag for myself. So I taught myself, I knew a little bit of basic crochet, but I taught myself a few more patterns, and I am making this drawstring bag using crochet, and it's coming out beautifully. I'm so happy that I'm able to do something which is useful and an intentional way of decorating and adding lifestyle to my home. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support and understanding. And I'll see you soon. Have a great week ahead. I'll try to be more consistent with the publishing of my videos at the same time every week. See you soon. Take care.